In this video, I'm going to review the Mone El Continente, a drop bar bike for the apocalypse or the Great Divide. Up to you. Find out what I like and dislike about it in this video. Welcome back, Pathless Peddlers, and if you're new to the channel, if you love things like gravel bikes, 650B bikes, the supple life, then you have found your people. Consider subscribing. So this bike review, like all our other bike and product reviews, is completely independent. I'm not getting paid to do this review. It's not a sponsored post. And just because the brand has sent a bike for me to review, I tried to the best of my ability to have it not color my opinion of the bike. That said, I do have my biases. Longtime viewers know I love 650B bikes, that I love big bikes with bigger tires and with drop bars, so I tend to request those kinds of bikes to review. So if you appreciate these reviews, consider supporting the channel. You can check out the PayPal links below, or you can buy some of our supple merchandise. So Chel Mone is a small independent bike frame builder in New Mexico. He's also well known for his exploits on the Great Divide, riding and racing it, often on a single speed. So the El Continente is a drop bar gravel slash bike packing beast. This bike weighs in this particular build at 28 pounds. It's meant to be run with different tire sizes, everything from 650B plus to 29 to even 29 plus, although depending on your frame size, you may experience some toe overlap. This particular build is set up with 27 plus tires, the Pan Racer Fat B Nimbles that measure in at about 3 inches. The bike uses disc brakes and through axles in the front and the rear. The bike has braze-ons for anything cages in the front, and they're also spaced appropriately, so if you want to run low riders, you can do that. It also has braze-ons on the rear, so if you need more capacity, you can also run it with a rear rack. Probably one of the more unique features of this frame is the rear chainstay. It's got an interesting telescopic design, so you can use it if you run single speed to tighten the chain, or if you want to change the ride dynamics in the rear, you can lengthen and shorten the rear chainstay. I rode this bike primarily in its most forward position, so that sets the chainstay at about 420. So pretty short for a bike like this, and definitely affects the handling of the bike, which I will get into next. So how does this bike ride? Well, for me, it was a bit of a surprise. When I see a bike like this with 27 plus tires, I usually expect something that runs a little bit sluggish, slow, heavy maybe. But what I found interesting is that with the geometry of the bike, the short chainstay, it actually rode a lot more nimble than I was expecting. Front end of the bike was fairly lively for a bike like this. Typically, I would expect something that really prioritizes stability over everything, but I felt like it was pretty nimble enough to pick through rocks and to make quick changes while steering. I think the rear is where this bike really shines and is different from other bikes I've ridden that are like this. For me, it felt like the rear wheel was really tucked beneath you, like you were sitting on the thrusters of a jet ski or something. It was a really interesting sensation. Other bikes I've ridden that are similar in style, they put you inside the bike, kind of like slung between a hammock. I would say the Gorilla Monsoon is like that, and the Salsa Cutthroat is like that. But with this bike, you really feel like you're on top of the rear wheel, and it has a lot of get up and go. I found that it climbed surprisingly well given the big tire size and the fact that it's 28 pounds. Not necessarily a lightweight bike, but it definitely rode a lot lighter than the weight would make you believe. So during the time I had with the bike, I took it uphill and downhill, and it was a blast in both directions. Climbed like a mountain goat, lots of good traction from those plus size tires, and that shorter rear end really made it feel like, you know, when you applied power, that you were getting the most out of it in the bike. On descents, it was super stable on gravel roads and fun and playful on some mellow single track. In some ways, this is the bike that I wish the Gorilla Monsoon rode like. Whereas the Gorilla Monsoon, to me, had a overly stable front end and a short but not quite short enough rear end. The El Continente takes those concepts and really packages it into a lively, fun, and playful bike that is also well equipped to carry you on all your adventures. And that's one of the biggest things I liked about this bike. Although it has all the braze-ons to carry lowriders or anything cages or a rear rack, the geometry and tubing is such that it doesn't lean too heavy on the touring end, but still maintains fairly playful. So what are the things I like and dislike about this bike? The first big like is that you can carry things in different ways. It's not biased specifically to just using anything cages. I'm more of a pannier person than a pure bike packing person. So I do appreciate the fact that you can run low riders and a rear rack with this bike if you want to. Another nice feature of this bike is that the internal triangle is designed so even if you're running the small medium size, which is what this particular one was, is you actually had a usable area in there for a frame bag. Compare that to other bike packing style bikes, you almost get zero space in there for a frame bag if you get a smaller frame. Another big like is how playful the handling is. Just because it's got big tires and it can carry a bunch of stuff, it doesn't ride like a heavy touring bike, which is a huge surprise, especially compared to something like the Gorilla Monsoon. You may not win the field sprint, but it's gonna give you a couple seconds of hope where you think you might just be able to pull it off. Another big like is actually the price. I know it's not a cheap bike. The frame set costs $1,200, but in the scheme of custom bikes, it's actually fairly affordable. In terms of dislikes, I didn't have a whole lot. One potential dislike is that I was getting some toe overlap with the 27 plus tires. Another dislike for some, and I know I mentioned this as a like, is the price. It's an awesome bike, but if you are on a budget, $1,200 for the frame set is it's gonna hurt the pockets a little bit. So who is this bike for? If you've got a big bike packing trip on your bucket list and are looking for a bike that's capable and fun, then this bike is for you. If you want to do long gravel rides and don't want to worry about what the surface is going to look like, and you want a bike that can plow through most anything, then this bike is also for you. The weight might set it back a little bit for an all-out race gravel bike, but it's definitely an awesome bike for exploring roads where you don't know what they're going to end up in a couple miles. I think it's a lot of bike to have as your only bike, especially if you commute primarily on roads and streets, but it definitely makes a awesome second or third bike for those off-pavement adventures. So that's it for this bike review. If you have any other questions about the Mone El Continente, leave those in the comments below. And if you appreciate this view, don't forget to consider supporting the channel. And until next time, keep the supple side down.